Hey everyone, so AD carry has shaken up a lot in 9.10 with the Rage Bait nerfs, some buffs you probably didn't even look at or realize, and some new builds as well. So I thought we could take a look at my tier list, like a top 10 for the patch. I haven't really broken down the role for a little while, so that's really what I want to do today. Not just rank them, but just to say, like, I reckon AD carry right now is probably the most balanced it has been for ages. Every single one is viable in their own way with at least one build. Before my top 10, I get asked a lot, like, why Vayne isn't really getting picked or banned in my games anymore, and this is kind of why. So she was double nerfed. Firstly, to herself, like her ultimate, the cooldown reduction on her tumble when it's active, instead of 50%, it now scales from 30 to 50%. The Rage Bait nerf was pretty bad, kind of targeted at Vayne anyway, because the 15% penetration means pretty much nothing to Vayne. Like a little bit, but it's really a minimal buff, and the phantom hit going from 2 to 3 is a really big nerf. The idea is that it's easier to beat her in the lane phase now. She's just not going to be as strong with her ultimate. She can't chase you down or fight as easily, and not as strong when she gets to 2 items either. Like, there is more time to crush her before she pops off. With pressy attack though, she has that potential still to mess you up and get fed early, and if she does get to 3 items, she is still going to bend you over and go to town, so she definitely isn't a bad choice. Before we get into that, I want to talk about Raid Shadow Legends. So most of you guys will probably know what this is because we've looked at this on the channel twice before, I think, and you guys really like it, so they keep wanting to do it. There is a special tournament happening globally right now, and you can compete with me and millions of other players in a massive arena tournament for crazy in-game prizes and even physical ones. So like, if you win those, they will literally ship them to your door. As we said, we looked at it before. Raid is this brand new free-to-play mobile RPG. It has a really good storyline, which is actually what I like and why I keep playing through the campaign, because it actually makes sense. You got really good graphics on this thing, like really good. Giant boss fights, like PvP stuff, hundreds of champions to collect. You customize them with like items and also runes, which change what they do. If you haven't already tried it, this is a really good time to do it, or come back and try it again. So you can go to the description of the video, download Raid only through that link to get 50,000 silver immediately and a free epic champion as part of the new player program. You also automatically enter into the special launch tournament right away. So let's look at our top 10 for the game right now, and you're going to get sick of me talking about Jinx because she is insane early to mid game, so she is going to start us off at number 1. A lot of her power is at the 1 to 2 item point, and even though it sounds weird, like I know crit does actually scale into the game, but that rework that we had a little while ago was to put more power mid game and lower it late game for crit builds. She does more than anybody else at that stage into the game, and a lot of her damage as well is AoE, so she's not just hitting the one person. When she gets her first reset, she's going to get more kills, more snowball, more gold as well, so losing one person in a team fight probably turns into 2 or 3, which makes it even harder to play against her. She will demolish towers and get plates, which is again more gold as well. You leave her alone, you take a bad base in the lane phase, and a lot of your tower health is just suddenly disappearing. You're going to be getting more farm than most AD carries as well, because you have your AoE rockets and your runins as well, so you mop those waves up, which means you spend less time farming and more time like running around and being where you're actually supposed to be. She is also easier to play. You right click with your rockets, you go to town, you get your resets, you run around. It isn't that hard, and even your W zap now scales with attack speed, which is such a good buff. She is still decent late game, so there is no downside to picking Jinx, and that is why she is number 1. Literally, she has a positive win rate versus every AD in the game right now, and there's no reason when you go into champ select to think, I don't want to play Jinx. Sivir is also a lot like that as well, especially this patch. Essence Reaver was buffed for a bit more AD, which is really nice. She farms really well. She's going to AFK shove in the lane phase, and either you're going to win your lane and you're going to kill people, or you're going to push, so you basically never lose. Obviously, you can lose, you can get ganks and stuff, and you can pick really bad fights, but in general, if you aren't in a favorable matchup, you just push the wave. You've got good damage from her Q now as well. That was buffed a little while ago on the cooldown, and the Essence Reaver buff is also really good there as well. And there is this new build at the moment, Essence Reaver into Infinity. I mentioned this a lot, but it's really good because you get tons of AD, you have your Q damage buffed as well, and you have your W attack speed to make up for no attack speed with item. It's more expensive, but it's way more damage. So if you're farmed or you're fed out of lane phase, definitely go for that, or at least try it as well. Her ultimate is great to help like any other meta pick do well as well, because we have like loads of damage in every other lane, so the speed really benefits them. And also Sivir is just ultra safe. You might not think so because she's kind of short range, but her W bounces across the enemy team from really far away, and also her speed from her ultimate and her spell shield. Our bronze medal is going to go to Draven today, and on a regular player, he might not seem like that amazing, but on a good one, he is absolutely insane and has the best lane phase like out of any AD carry that we have at the moment. He doesn't even have to be that good to win lane though. That is the thing. You get a gank, you cash in, you 3-shot people after that, and it's not difficult to play. It's not always that easy to win a game with a lead as an AD carry because like everything can one-shot you, but Draven's a bit different. He does hard carry more than any other AD. You snowball out of control because you're getting more gold from your passive, so one kill means a lot more, and it's just really really hard for the enemy team to recover. It's just like one mistake and you probably lost your lane. And that's just really bad for solo queue because people make mistakes and they are going to die, and Draven is really good at punishing them. There are loads of kill supports around right now to help you get those first kills as well. Pair him up with like a Nautilus and you're almost guaranteed to get at least one kill and cash in on your passive. And I do think he is the best AD carry to one trick for sure. So fourth spot, we're going to be looking at Kaiser, and she gets pretty hard dumpstered by the three above her. Draven wins lane, bursts you too hard. Jinx outranges you, so crits from too far away. And Sivir just auto shoves, gets free mana from your Q, and you can't really play the game. Now anyway, apart from those three matchups though, she's really good right now. Mana immune build is awesome, very cheap upgrade on your Q. Go watch my full video on this by the way as well. I'll try to remember to link that down below. But basically it's 1,000 gold cheaper than Infinity Edge. It's 700 cheaper than Storm Razor, but it still upgrades your Q, which is most of your damage. It also means you get rage bait 1,000 gold quicker, and then you go AP afterwards. So AP build nukes people down. It scales really well. It has a tank shred, better defensive item options, as well as the poke. If you take pressy attack as well, you can get a lot of kills in the lane phase, especially after your Q upgrade, and then you have a really good mid game afterwards when you've upgraded your stealth and you get your rage blade. Kaiser is actually really good at dueling people and has that assassin potential as well if you can get all those missiles onto one target, so if they're isolated. She's very hard to shut down though because she's relatively safe and has good damage, has a stealth and an ultimate to stay safe in a fight. And finally, the rage blade nerf like isn't that nice, but the 15% pen is actually really good because it makes our ability damage go up, and especially if we're getting that earlier into the game, the buff is a little bit better. So rounding out our top 5 is going to be Ezreal, and I think he is probably one of the best solo carry champions you can play as an AD carry if your mechanics are crisp. You need to constantly push your limits to get poke off, in my opinion. This is the way you have to play him if you want to win. You need to hit all of your WQs together as well because that is most of your damage. He does have very cheap items, which means you stay ahead of the enemy AD. You snowball harder if you can get a lead early anyway. Going AP is nuts now as well. This is the one I recommend, like Luden's Gunblade. It gives you so much burst potential and poke damage. You can suck ass if you miss everything, but a good Ezreal can also 1v9 a game, I think, so that's kind of like the trade-off. He's very hard to get shot down as well, which is why it's so frustrating to play against him, because like with any matchup or a bad support, you're going to farm from range with your Q. He's also very safe, and he's probably like one of the least team-reliant AD carriers you can play, one of the best, and actually top 3 in my opinion if you are a god at him. Right, so moving into our others now, and I think you guys are going to flame me because I'm putting Kalin at number 6, and she's probably one of the hardest AD carries to play mechanics-wise. At the basic level, not so much, but when you get into the advanced stages, like you've got your headshot animation cancels, your trap combos, and to do proper damage, it's actually not that easy. She has got constant buffs recently, which is so nice. Like the last one this patch was to her trap damage, up 20 rank 1, but it was only 40 to start with, so it's actually a good bit more in comparison. For that was a better Q damage a while ago, and then we've had higher range on our ultimate, and then more damage on our ultimate after that. So if you can get to 3 items on Kalin, you can dish out some really good damage, and these buffs basically help you get there faster. You're not going to be that good at 2 items, so if you lose your lane, it takes a while to power up, and this is the biggest downside to Kate. The best way to play her is just like push and take plates with your range and harass people under tower. If you can get away with that, then she is such a good pick. It's very easy and you will get a big lead. If you can use your traps properly as well, then your damage is honestly going to be crazy throughout the entire game, and eventually then you can just right click as well to win late game. Next up is one of my most underrated AD carries at the moment. I think Ashe is really good. Very high range, safe, and actually kind of a bully in lane phase. You can auto attack in W constantly in the lane phase to poke people down and force them away and force them to kind of back off. If they run at you, you volley, you auto attack, and they can't do anything. She doesn't really have bad matchups because of that part, right? She's actually very good versus bullies like Draven or Kaiser or Lucian because she can outrange and then she can just volley and kite them around. It actually is one of the worst matchups for something like a Kaiser. You can't really move, you can't really play, and partly that is because the slow on your passive was buffed early game. It gives you better kiting, and basically you can never run away from an Ashe now, so you have to be really sure when you go in to fight her, because if you turn around, you're pretty much screwed. You have your arrow to engage and to start fights obviously, and kind of make some plays happen, which is really good. And also she does actually do more damage than we think, especially once Infinity Edge is completed. I think Ashe is a really good pick if you understand the game well, but you don't necessarily have the sickest mechanics. Moving on to Misfortune, and the new press attack build is one of the best low elo picks right now. Like if you're trying to get to diamond for the first time as an AD carry, this is one of the builds you should really do it with. Blade First is lifesteal, but your auto attacks actually her, which kind of covers like her biggest weakness from before, where she was just pressing Q and R and hoping that was enough to kill someone. When your W is active, you want to be auto attacking as much as possible, and you actually have a lot of damage. And then when your W is on cooldown, you use your ultimate, you use your Q, or you kite around waiting for that cooldown. It's very easy to proc pressy attack with an auto, a Q, into another auto, almost instantly procs it and gets the bonus damage rolling from the start of the fight. She's still got very high burst damage, a very good lane phase. She still bullies really hard and is hard to play against, but she is easier to play now, I think, with this build, a big team fight ultimate, and she scales well as well. You don't fall off even later into the game. One of the things I like as well is you can adapt to the game you're in. So you can build more lethality versus no tanks. You can build a cleaver or last whisper versus tanks, or even go crit for a bit of both. So after the nerfs, I would put Vayne down here for now, about number 9. And honestly, I haven't seen her properly, and when I do, she gets absolutely hammered in lane. If you're good with Vayne, I would actually put her higher up in this list, but this is just for like general solo queue, because that is a really big problem. Lane phase is a lot weaker now, so you can't really reach your late game as easily, and that is why you're picking Vayne. If you get to 3 items, then you'll still be really, really strong. So she isn't a bad pick at all, and if you get ahead in the lane phase, you get a few kills, like she's so deadly. Your ultimate is still almost the same at level 11, so that is going to be the sweet spot. You can still get kills in lane phase with press attack as well. It's just going to be a little harder. Still though, she probably has like one of the highest damage outputs in the entire game for AD carries, and you have the stealth and the condemn to outplay people. So again, she's not a bad pick. Her lane phase is just much weaker and easier to abuse. Last up, we're going to be looking at Jhin to round out our top 10, and I've seen a lot more of him, and going double Infinity Edge is a disgustingly good build. I think most people go 2 Infinity Edge and then Rapid Fire for the long range crits and setup, but you could, like, in theory, just get 4 of them as well if you wanted to. You've got the Electrocute build for more damage now that a lot of Koreans are running, and then the more normal Fleet version as well if you want a bit of a safer playstyle. He definitely has a lot of damage now with this. He chunks super hard with that much AD, especially if he gets ahead. It's really hard to recover. If he does get behind, he can still kind of be useful, like with his root and his ultimate, so it's not an all or nothing playstyle, which I think is good. I feel like at 3 items, he's going to start to really hurt. That's when I'm most afraid of him, and when I really notice he does a crap ton of damage, and more as well if he can get them quicker into the game. I've seen a few recently, and some are really good and some are terrible, so it's kind of hard to put him any higher than this for me, but he's still definitely a really good choice. That's going to wrap up my top 10. I don't really do top 10s that often anymore. I try to include everything, but this lets me go into a bit more detail for each pick and kind of like sum up why they're good and why they're bad. Let me know what you think of this kind of thing. If you want me to do more top 10s for other roles or not, I can definitely do some more if you enjoy this video. Thank you for watching until the very end. Let me know what you think, and for now, I will leave you with the robots.